Here we go. We are live. I'm going to play the audio. All right. Hello, and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am here with none other than Ian Harris. He is a regular on this show. He's actually one of the first people that I had when I started doing live shows about 3 years ago. So I want to welcome Ian back to the show. And I'm going to read a little bit about his bio, and I'll let him talk about himself. He doesn't like talking about himself, but I'm going to put him on the spot this evening. Ian is a technologist, podcaster, pastor, and political candidate that focuses on bridging the gap between government resources and the residents that actually need them. He does a good job at that, you guys. You guys need to follow him, and I like the fact that we have his Instagram hashtag, social media hashtag. He is also passionate about adding more people of color into the tech sphere. So welcome Ian to the show.
Hey, Obi, how are you? How's everybody doing out there?
Good to see you, Ian. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We're glad to have you as always. So there's a lot that has been going on in the country in the past week and a half. It's been exhausting. I made a post about it the other day about how the past week and a half has been exhausting for most of us between protesting, watching the video of George Floyd's murder, and a whole bunch of other things. And Ian, I really want to talk to you about our topic today, which is what the heck, America? What the heck is going on? It was going to be the F word, but I tried to be cordial. I'm like, you know what? Let's pull this back a little bit. So what the heck, America? So Ian, before we dive into that, talk to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you don't like that. How about I go this angle? Talk to us about how you really got into politics. How about that? Hello, everyone. We have somebody in the audience. Hi, thank you for joining us.
Hey, I worked for a church in the Bronx a couple of years ago. Great church, and they did a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff. And I was going to the building 3 or 4 times, actually probably 5 or 6 times a week. And I fell in love. It was in the Castle Hill section of the Bronx. Fell in love with the community. I was going to Crown Fried, buy a fish sandwich every day, going to the pizza stop, getting my hair cut. So I fell in love with the community. But I also saw there were things in the community that could have used some attention. It was in between 2 housing projects, Castle Hill and Soundview. And I saw that the residents needed some help. Some of the residents needed some help. The church, I didn't want to ask the church because I didn't want to interfere with some things. So I tried to do a couple of things of my own, but my bread isn't that long. So I can only do it so much. So I ended up reaching out to a couple of elected officials. They're actually not in the office any longer. But they were in the office for about 10 years, and they seemed to not do anything but collect a check. So they always say, be the change that you want to see.
Right.
After trying to get them that help, I said, you know what, let me see if I can do this on my own and try to get on the inside and work that way. So I tried to run for city council. I ended up getting sick, and even if I stayed in the election, that election got hosted. The person who should have won ended up losing to a career politician who decided to jump in the race literally the last minute. And I'm gonna be honest, that same politician is now running for Congress.
Wow.
We're gonna need him not to do that. We're gonna need him not to win. I'm not gonna say who I'm endorsing, but I just don't want people to vote for him. So anywho, after that, I followed what's going on locally in the city, and then I started following what's going on in the state. And you can't, in Trump's America, you can't avoid federal level stuff. So I started paying attention more and more and just reading more and more, because you can't always go for seeing social media. You have to vet stuff on your own. And 4 or 5 years later, I'm here.
All right, and you've been doing a good job. You guys need to follow Ian on his social media platform at Ian Harris NYC. He has a lot of great information about what's happening, not only in New York or in the Bronx, but definitely the whole, countrywide. So, Ian, thank you for all that you do. And our topic tonight came about you and I discussing about what's been going on in the country with the protests and George Floyd's murder and what really will come out of this, right? So my first question to you is, what do you have to say to Black people who stand on the sidelines watching all that's going on without participating, protesting, speaking up?
Well, if you're content with how things are going, by all means, keep doing what you're doing. Sit on the sidelines. If you have something to say but refuse to put action behind your words, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
And actually, not only doing yourself a disservice, you're painting a big clown-shaped bullseye on your head.
Right.
Because we're going to call you a clown. Getting involved doesn't just mean strapping up your Jordans and handing payments. Social media activism is a great way to get people informed.
Yeah.
Many of us find out about things on social media or via social media way before we ever hear about it on the news.
Exactly.
If we even listen to the news. Some people don't listen to the news. We get our news from Facebook.
Which is why the news at Obi's here, right?
Exactly. We have platforms like Obi out here on social media giving you the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a good practice to vet any information that you get offline before you treat it like it's gospel. But helping spread the word via social media is a great way to help. Also, there was a cadre of urban American philosophers that once said, "Cash rules everything around me." You can put some money on arrested protesters' books. You can donate signs, mass water to protest. There are things you can do if you don't want to get out on the street to pick up a sign. Or you can just sit on your butt. The choice is yours.
Or even, do you think like posting the black squares like we did a few days ago, you think that's something?
That's something. Even ask people, hey, what is this about?
Right.
And if you reach one person, that's enough.
Yeah. Now, to white people in America that's saying that slavery was 400 years ago, get over it. How do we have that conversation?
I never thought I would get upset at an imaginary person saying something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even engage that person in a conversation. Anyone who willfully ignores everything that's happened in 150 plus years since slavery ended has made a conscious decision, and they can keep that same energy, but I'm going to conserve my energy and not engage conversation with you, because at that point you're already gone.
Don't you see it as an opportunity to educate?
In this current climate, I can't find any decent-hearted individual that would say that. Anyone who wants to be educated. I can't find anyone who wants to be educated that would say that.
I hear you. But if somebody does say that, it will lead into an argument at first. And if you don't have the energy to go back and forth with that person, let them do their research. They have all the tools available to them, right?
I don't want anyone catching a case. You may ask them on the wrong day, and you may end up with a size 13 upside your neck. It's better for everybody involved just to stay away, because even on social media, you're going to see people jump in and be antagonistic on comments and want to argue back and forth with you. And I learned this in seminary. You can have two people who feel really strongly about two opposing topics. Seldom will you find that one or the other will change their mind based off an argument. All that's going to happen is...
So they've made up their mind already before even coming to the argument.
Only thing you're going to do is hurt other people's feelings and maybe get into a fight.
Yeah, I hear you. So stay clear. I've learned how to conserve my energy way before this happened. I've been getting into a lot of arguments in the past few days. So I've learned how to pick my battles online. Let's just say that.
You're not fighting people in the comments, are you?
I am. I am.
Giving them all the smoke.
All the smoke. We can't hold it back. We putting the pressure on.
We mad.
But now would you say that some progress has been made since we've had 50 states, all 50 states protesting, 18 countries, if not more, protesting? Talk to us about how important it is for us to keep this momentum and keep this energy up at this point.
You asked, has there been any progress? I'm going to speak about New York first because that's near and dear to my heart. Yesterday, the New York State Legislature passed reform law bills and make a law yet because Cuomo still has to sign it into law. But he passed legislation that did things such as repeal a law that, let's say you work for NYPD and you had 19 prior offenses.
Mm-hmm.
We want before currently today, because the law is not in effect yet. I can't look it up. The officer that murdered George Floyd,
yeah,
about, what, 18 complaints?
Yes.
If that was the case and this law is passed, we can look this up front. But like, hey, why is this person still on the force? He or she needs to be removed. If they're not going to remove them, then they shouldn't be arresting people. They should have a death duty. So repealing was Law 58. So they voted a bill.
Oh, so Law 58 got voted on?
It got voted on, and it passed the legislature, and now it has to be signed into law by Cuomo.
Okay.
They also
You're looking likely?
I don't know what Cuomo.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation.
I don't even know what Cuomo. So let's hear it, bro.
Your best friends, Cuomo and de Blasio. Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, let's do that. It's Wednesday. I'm having a good day. Like eating chicken.
You know what? You don't think Cuomo at least has been doing something and doing a decent job?
I'm not going to say he hasn't done anything.
Okay.
Cuomo's done a lot of good work. It's just I have some deep-seating issues with Cuomo, and a lot of progressives do. But in regards to this, I think he will sign it because he talked about signing it. Let's move on from Cuomo because that's a road I don't want to go down. I don't want any smoke.
Right.
But aside from 50A, they passed another law that required state troop. Well, they pushed forward the bill that requires state troopers to have body cams.
I thought they always did.
Not state troopers, no.
Not state troopers, okay.
So if you get pulled over in New York, if you get pulled over any parkway, I want to say even the LIE. It's been a while since I've driven on the LIE before. The LIE was marshaled by either Suffolk County sheriffs or Nassau County sheriffs, but I believe that state troopers patrol the LIE. But anyway, if you're on a parkway, that's considered a state road.
Right.
So it's patrolled by the state troopers.
Exactly.
So if you get pulled over,
you don't want to get pulled over by them.
Oh no, you don't want that. Back in the day, they used to come up with these long tickets and it looked like dot matrix printers. It was
right.
You're going to pay a couple $100 to get pulled up by the state troopers. So don't.
And if you're from out of state and you get pulled up for a state trooper in a different state, you got to show up to court because you just never know what that's going to be like.
I'm gonna share this one quick story. I'm 34, so when I was 21. I went to Pittsburgh for 2 weeks. I went to go see a woman for a job too, but I went to go see a woman. And I stayed up there for 2 weeks. And I had to get home. It was a 9-hour drive from New York City to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And you're riding through mountains. You're passing through the mountains. You see signs saying, "Be careful of falling boulders."
Right.
And it's foggy. You don't want to be on this road. So anywho, I'm doing like 95 trying to get home. Straight 95. Get pulled over
by a state trooper.
By a Pennsylvania state trooper, I believe. And he was like, "Where you going?" I'm like, "I have to get home." I lied. I don't want to say what the lie is because it's horrible. I was 21. Please forgive me. It was bad, but I gave an excuse because I didn't want to go to jail.
Right.
He was like, "All right, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna write this ticket." The ticket was for $482.
Are you serious?
And I had to find a way to get to Pittsburgh, and they suspended my license in Pennsylvania, so I couldn't even drive to court.
Oh my goodness!
I had to fly in, get a hotel room.
Oh shit!
I had to fly in, get a hotel room.
Okay.
And do all that. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What happened?
We lost you for a little bit, but you're back. You're here.
I can hear.
I can see you. Can you hear me? You're here. You're here, Ian.
I can't hear you.
I'm not sure why. We can hear you fine.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me? He's gonna log back in, you guys. I don't know what happened to his internet. But thank you guys for joining. If you are just tuning in, we are talking about the current situation going on here in the U.S. and what the protests. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, yeah. We lost you for a little bit, but we were still hearing you.
Okay.
Okay, glad to have you back. So you fly into Pittsburgh.
I fly into Pittsburgh. I paid the ticket. Long story short, that ticket cost like almost $1,100.
Yeah.
So
the moral was pulled over by a state trooper.
Yeah, the lesson is don't get pulled over by a state trooper.
Yeah.
So don't do it. But
so speaking of state troopers, though, let's switch a little bit to the police, right?
Okay.
Why is it important? Everybody's saying defund the police. First of all, explain to us where the funding from the police comes from and why it's important that they get defunded.
Well, before we even do that, I want to say this. Before anything else, it's important to know that defunding the police doesn't mean disbanding or eliminating funds from the police.
Exactly.
You're still going to want cops out in these streets.
Right.
You don't want to find yourself in the position of calling 911 because your crib is getting robbed, and the operator says, "Well, just hold tight. We're sending thoughts and prayers."
Yeah.
You're still going to want the police out here.
Exactly.
Anyone that uses to fund the police and disband the police or eliminate funding for the police interchangeably is intentionally misleading people and being manipulative. Police departments basically get blank checks. They get all the money that they want. The same way that the federal government writes blank checks to the Defense Department, local municipalities write blank checks to the local police departments. They will do this while taking money from schools, health systems, public works. So your kid's school cannot have pencils, and you can have potholes in your streets.
And that money might have been given to the police.
And if the police say, "Hey, we need 100 new cars," no problem. But you can't have pencils.
Okay.
So the funding the police is basically a renewed effort in diverting some funds from the police department and to go into other areas such as education, public works, health, because police are great, but police aren't teachers, police aren't social workers, police aren't doctors, they aren't physicians.
They just don't protect and serve. That's what they're supposed to do. They don't do that.
So, well, I'm not going to say all of them don't. Let's not do that because I don't want to die. But some of those funds can go elsewhere. I think last year there was we did a drive in the Bronx for pencils. The kids didn't have pencils in their schools.
Wow.
And also education gets slashed all the time. Matter of fact, because of the deficit due to the coronavirus, the city and the state were both trying to find ways to recoup some of the money they lost. And the first thing that got slashed was education budgets.
Yeah.
Take some of that money from the police, put it back into the education system, put it back into the healthcare system, put it back into the MTA or the whatever transportation network your city has, and that'll be better. Now,
so does taking money from the police, does that mean the police getting less pay, like individually?
Well, that's contractual. Let's say hypothetically, I'm a police officer and I'm getting paid $100,000 a year. Defunding the police doesn't mean, hey, next week they're going to cut my check. We're not talking about salaries off the bat. We're talking about expenses such as new police cruisers,
right,
or new police buildings. Now, if something's in dire need of repair, fine. If I talked to a couple of cops before, and some of my best friends in the world are cops or former cops.
Okay.
most police officers, and the ones I've talked to, have said you're going to get into a slew of accidents in your vehicle during the span of your career.
Right.
So let's do that. So if I keep knocking out my car, and I gotta get a new car every year, every 2 years, a brand new Crown Vic's what, $25,000?
Right.
So you multiply that by 100. That's 2.5 mil.
Yeah. So the police.
That's just one.
So police departments got a lot more money than they really need. Like I think the mayor of Los Angeles, did he said he was gonna deduct by 30% or something like that?
They get a lot of money. They get those blank checks.
Yeah.
And I'll use this on the federal level. If we took away, we keep saying we spend trillions of dollars on the military, but we have people starving. If we took half of what we spend on the military, there wouldn't be homeless people.
Right.
That could be the same thing when it comes down to local police departments in the towns and the cities that they're in. If you took away some of that money, you can put it in other places.
Right.
And if you took away some of the money, the police will still be able to protect and serve.
That was my next question. It wasn't gonna affect their work.
No, and if it is, then that's when you sit down and you have level-headed politicians and lawmakers and policymakers and say, hey, this is why we need X amount for the police department. You have to defend your budget. This is why I need this in order for us to do our jobs better. Then we'll give you more money. But you're just saying, hey, I need this because I want it. Meanwhile, we have schools that don't have pencils to give to the kids.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that, especially now.
Yeah, it looks like priorities have been upside down. America's priorities have been upside down for a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and thank you again, everybody. I see your comments. I see you guys coming in. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any questions for Ian, you can type it in the comment section. He'll be glad to answer those questions. Even if you just want to say something. Again, this is a show about politics, about talking about what's happening in our local community and around the world. And in the past few months, from coronavirus to now police brutality in America, which has sparked protests, not just in America, but in other countries as well. I know it has weighed a lot on all of us, no matter what color you are, not unless if you feel like this is okay, which we do have some people like that. But if you want to speak up or say anything about how you feel, please feel free to type it in the comments. So, Ian, I want to get back to talking about demands. A lot of these protests, that I've been to has been about making demands. These are our demands. This is what we want. Talk to us about some sort of legislative demands that we should be asking for and why it is important that we keep pressing on. And I know that, like I posted something a few days ago, how it's going to be inevitable that our timelines most likely will go back to what it normally would be, which will be pictures, travel if you can travel, food, TikToks. So talk to us about the legislation we should be demanding and why it's important that we do not take our feet off the pedal at this point.
Well, we can demand more police reform. We can demand that every officer wears body cams. You should be able to record if someone's being arrested. So cops can say it's illegal to record. No, if I'm being arrested, I should be able to record. Or if let's say I'm riding in the car, I'm riding in a Jeep, and I got my homie next to me. If I'm getting arrested, my homie should be able to tape it.
Right.
Again, we need to be able to. If you're taping, we need to be able to tape. Because this one, what's happening right now wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a tape in Minneapolis.
Right.
There are countless people who have been murdered by the police.
Right.
And there wasn't tape there. The tape is a reason. It gives you evidence. It gives you tangible evidence to say, okay, something's going on. The reason why George Floyd's murder reigned as much as it did, he basically narrated his murder.
Yeah.
He said, I can't, and I will say this, I didn't watch the video. I don't watch the videos.
You did not watch the video?
I do not watch the videos. I've seen enough
I will
videos in my
tell.
life.
At this point, I'll tell you not. Don't watch it.
Yeah, I've seen. I'm not going to. I've seen enough of videos in my life. It's hard enough sleeping as it is.
Yeah.
I don't need to see someone die. But he basically narrated his death. He's saying, "Hey, I can't breathe." He can call out for his mother. You can see. I don't even call him officer. You can.
Ian is gone again. Okay, are you back? Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Log off and come back in. Sorry, you guys. Technology, right? But again, thanks again for joining. If you have any questions or just a comment in general, just please type it in so we can talk about it. I have a lot of questions for Ian. Well, not a lot. We've addressed most of it. But if you want to chime in, please feel free to do that. Ian, you're back. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Can you guys hear Ian? If you can, type it in. I can't hear him. Log off and come back on again. Sorry. If I see your question, and I'm going to address it when Ian comes back in. Thanks once again. Where you guys? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you guys couldn't hear him either. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's thank you for the feedback. Yeah, he's gonna log back on. Hopefully we can hear him this time. Ian, we still can't hear you. Oh my goodness. No, I'm not sure. They can't hear you either. Read the comments. They can't hear you. I'm not sure what's going on. No, they can't hear you. No. Can you guys hear me? I hope you can, because that would be disastrous. Can you hear me, Ian? Oh, but we can't hear you. Sorry. I don't. Okay. All right. All right. No audio. Sorry, you guys. It happens. Technical difficulties. Till I get like CNN kind of funding, you know, I guess I'll be having this kind of technical difficulties. But this seems to be on Ian's side. Hi, Jen. Okay, thank you. You guys can hear me, but not Ian. So Ian joins us back again. I know the conversation was getting really good. Hopefully he can join us. He can join us again so we can continue the conversation. It was getting really interesting. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're talking about what's been happening in the country. And Ian, being a politician, he's giving us tips on how to really move this forward, the demands that we need to make, and really how people should really understand why this is important. I haven't talked to him about what he feels about the looting that's been going on, but we also know that some of those looters, I'm hoping his audio works too. We know that some of those looters haven't been from the states that they've been looting in, and some of them are like professional looters. Yes, the conversation was getting good. I'm enjoying the content. Thank you so much, Rashida. Thank you. Hopefully Ian can join us back again, because he's a professional here. He's a politician. He's on the inside, so he can tell us what's going on. But in the meantime, right? Can you guys like share with me how you've been feeling in the past week and a half? I had a post the other day about how it's been really exhausting for me, because not only, you know, watching the video, I've also been out there really protesting and also trying to get people on my show to talk about this, and arguing with people online about why this is important. For those that don't know me, I'm a first generation Nigerian American, so I do have my Nigerian background and my American background. I was born in DC. I grew up between Nigeria and DC. So with the fusion of the two, I found myself arguing with my Nigerian people. Ian, are you back? Can we hear you? Speak.
Hello?
No. Yes.
Yeah?
Yay.
Okay. I had to change laptops and everything.
Oh, okay. It's lagging a little bit, but I think that will do. Yes, your audio is lagging a little bit. Yes, the audio is back. Everybody was saying the conversation was getting really juicy. So we'll act like this is Instagram when you and I would do Instagram Live when it will lag a little bit, but I think we can make it work. So I want to read some of the comments. People were saying it was getting juicy before you left, and I was asking questions about how people have been feeling since all this has been going on, and I was, sharing how I've been feeling and how I've been trying to deal with it. And Katura is saying, I'll post it on here. She's saying it's been exhausting wanting to protest, but not wanting to get brutalized by the police because for a week in the South Bronx, the peaceful protesters were attacked. Right, the Bronx. So, Ian, do you have any advice for Katura about this? Wanting to protest, but not wanting to be brutalized? What do you have to say about that?
Even that is weird.
Your audio is not lagging, by the way. Not right now.
1 second.
Well, no, it's not. It's good. It's good.
No, 1 second.
Okay. So, Katura, I do feel what you're saying. I felt the same way, but I feel like when I remember Martin Luther King, or if you watch Selma all over again, they still went out there. So I'll let Ian take the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, so this time last week, New York City, like other cities such as Atlanta, had a curfew. We all thought that the curfew was a horrible idea.
Right.
So once the curfew hit, many police departments found themselves with cases of violence. Right. In Atlanta, they were pulling people out of cars. In Buffalo, they were beating up 75-year-old men.
Yeah.
In New York, in the Bronx, people were getting beat up. They were getting locked up. Then they suspended habeas corpus, meaning you can get locked up for more than 24 hours without having to see a lawyer, which is unconstitutional.
Right.
It was getting rough. It got to the point where we were calling up Mayor Bill de Blasio and saying, you have to end the curfew. This is ridiculous. And the South Bronx got hit really hard. People were getting bruised. People were legitimately hurt. I can't wait to see the amounts of lawsuits that are going to ring from this. Right. And the city going to come up off all its coin, every dime. So anywho, it's gotten better.
Right.
The curfew is gone. Peaceful protests have resumed. There are no less than 5 or 6 protests a day. There's one that literally just ended in the South Bronx at a church. There's another one in my hometown, Central Heights of New York, that just ended maybe 20, 25 minutes ago. I have my nieces out here making signs, maybe the proud, the revolutionary in me. So the policing has gotten better. It has to get better for a couple of reasons. One, there are more eyes on it. There's going to be more cameras on it, and they can't hide. Now the head of the police union is out here speaking, hey, you guys are treating us horribly. We're the media. No. We said we couldn't breathe 6 years ago.
Right.
We still can't breathe.
Right. Not a nail.
Y'all still getting paid.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the officer that killed Eric Garner just got fired less than a year ago.
Wow.
Just got fired.
And that was 6 years ago.
Yes. I don't even want to say his name. Less than a year ago. It took 5 years for him to lose his job. If I steal a pen from my job, I got to be Sylvia in HR.
Yeah. You wouldn't even make it past the day.
So it's basically rough. But I'm glad we have platforms such as your platform where we can discuss this, and it could be on a record that we demand change, and we shouldn't get beat up when we protest.
Right. Katura says she did attend a protest the other day. It was a great experience. I'm glad you were able to get out there because being part of that, there's something that it does for you, right? Being Indeed. Part of going out there, seeing everybody, being part of history just makes that difference. So while we're in lockdown, we have time to go out and protest, right? So if you can go out, be safe about it, make your signs, go out with your friends, mobilize more people if possible, and just be part of this history, because years down the line, you want to be able to tell your kids and grandkids, like, look, I was part of this. Not only did I survive Corona, I was also part of this.
I survived this. Be safe, wear your mask when you go out there. Go out with a friend.
Yeah.
Don't be belligerent. If it's gonna be peaceful, be peacul. Don't go out and like cuss out the police, because it's probably not gonna work out in your favor afterwards. But it's great. I actually post about 3 or 4, at least 3 protests daily on my social network, so people can see.
Yes, he does post a lot about protests coming up in New York, and not just New York, anywhere in the country.
Well, you only do but so much, because there's so many out there. But we try, and it's not going to end. It's dying down. It's not as strong as it was last week, and that's a given. We understand that, but there's actual change that's happening due to these protests.
Right.
On local level, on a federal level. I mean, the House of Representatives did try to do something yesterday. I know how you
feel about the Kente Clause. Let's not go there, Ian. Don't
I don't go to the Kente Clause. I don't care about that. I was upset about that, but we moved on. I was more concerned about the legislation. And yes, they can pass legislation, but it's going to die on the Senate floor. The reason why it's going to die on the Senate floor, because the Senate couldn't pass an anti-lynching bill. Why couldn't they agree on saying that lynching is illegal? So if they can't agree on that, I have no faith in them passing any legislation that was passed by the House of Representatives. So I actually kind of feel that's performative. They did it so they can show face, knowing that it wasn't going to pass. If you want this legislation to pass, we have to show up and vote. This is a great time. A lot of states are doing like primaries. Georgia's was yesterday, even though Georgia had experienced some voting issues. Shocking.
That was
shocking.
crazy.
New York's the 23rd, and there are other states in the interim. But it's not just a federal. It's not just a federal. It's not just the presidential. You have states. You have local politicians. And local legislation is what actually affects education. It's what affects police. The president isn't going to affect
what impacts us the most.
Exactly. So your local representatives are going to be the one who are going to actually defund the police, who are going to spend that money in other areas. So it's best that we go out and vote. And then even now, if we have issues with stuff passing on the Senate floor, we don't have that issue in New York, because we're always going to put forth 2 Democratic senators. But the states that don't, go out and vote. Mitch McConnell's actually having a really rough race against a black dude by name Booker. And so is Lindsey Graham. In South Carolina.
Right.
Both. Actually, I think Lindsey Graham's going against Booker. Like, if I get the gentleman going against McConnell, but all that to say, the people who are voting down the legislation, we got to vote them out.
Right. Yeah, we just got to make sure that we show up and vote as much as possible. November 3rd has to be a given, and on the state level as well. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, Ian. Before you got back in, I was telling everybody that don't know me that I am first generation Nigerian American. I was born in DC. I grew up between DC and Nigeria, which means I have the fusion of the both. So when it comes to my background, I know how the continental African in the US feels about a lot of things. I also can relate to the African American experience. So my question to you is, to the continental Africans that move to the US who don't understand systemic racism, how would you address that?
The first thing I would address is stop calling everything systemic racism. We apply that label to everything. And when we apply the label systemic racism onto something, we take away from the real issue, or the real issue. It wasn't systemic racism that put their knee on the neck of George Floyd for almost 9 minutes. It was a racist individual. It wasn't systemic racism that busted into Brianna's house and shot her while she slept. That was racist individuals. So we had to separate racist people racism, bigoted people, and systemic racism. Systemic racism is hiring practices, gerrymandering, funding. How come two schools within the same district, but one's black and one isn't black, or one is white and
So
one isn't?
You don't think systemic racism has affected how African Americans are being treated in this country?
Oh, I was getting to that.
Okay.
So systemic racism is if you have one town or one city, and there are two sets of schools, one on the whiter part of town and one on the non-whiter or the blacker part of town. The school in the whiter part of town gets more money, a bigger budget, and then the one on the other side of town gets less money. That's systemic racism, because it knows that, okay, the blacker school, if you give them less money, it's going to give them less opportunity to go to the better colleges and therefore get the better jobs. So therefore, we're going to keep them on.
I understand that, but you don't think systemic racism is why the officer that knelt on George Floyd's neck did so for 8.5 minutes, because he knew he was going to get off? You don't think that has anything to do?
That played a part of it. But him being racist is the reason why he killed him.
Right, but also the system has
in the back of his mind. Well, also he's weird because he had 18 times to get off.
Exactly.
If I kill him for 18 times, I think I can get away with murder. And he literally thought he can get away with murder.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until I just said that, because I wasn't trying to be funny. He literally thought he can get away with murder because
he did
18 times.
Right. And
he almost got off for murder. He almost got away with murder because they only gave him a 3rd-degree charge.
Right.
Which is basically
moved to a 1st-degree charge because, but based on what we're hearing, him and George did have a running back and not too long ago at a club. So
which is
it looks like it's premeditated, which should be 1st-degree.
The problem is we don't want 1st-degree. If you went home, you're going to want a 1st-degree, because 1st-degree is beyond reasonable doubt. It's hard to get a 1st-degree conviction. He wants a 1st-degree conviction because it's almost guaranteeing that he won't get convicted. Him getting that 2nd degree is actually the best route. It's going to give him it's going to give him bigger punishment than the 3rd degree, but it's also high chance of that conviction. And we have to trust the Attorney General who brought this up. And I want to bring light to who the Attorney General was.
Right.
Allison. He probably walk around doing this right now.
Right.
Black He's for the people. He is the former vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's the first Muslim, Black Muslim to be elected to Congress. He's the one who said, okay, we're going to do 2nd degree. He sat down. He wants to do 1st degree. He wanted to do 1st degree. He's from the south side of Chicago.
Right.
But any legal-minded act said is too much of a risk of him walking away. 1st degree. 1st degree is beyond reasonable doubt.
And the other 3, are they going to get charged or no?
They're charged already.
What are they charged with?
I'll be lying to you if I gave you their charges.
Okay.
But they were.
I know they've been arrested. That's all I know. I didn't know.
Well, when you get arrested, you get charged, because they were arrested and they were charged. So they were charged, and that charge happened last week. I don't know the exact charges.
Okay.
I can find out for you later. I was just happy that it got bumped up for a 3rd degree. Minnesota is one out of 3 states that have 3rd degree murder in the first place.
Right.
3rd degree murder might as well be manslaughter.
Right. Well, can we pull it back a little bit? Remember, the question really was how you address the continental Africans in the U.S. that don't understand what's going on, that never really, because most Africans, till they come here to the U.S., they don't know that they're Black, right? And they don't understand that the whole racism thing exists. Let me give you an example. When I sent the George Floyd murder video to one of my cousins in Nigeria, the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, I thought racism in America was gone." I'm like, what? Because I don't talk about this. Is this why? Right? So that's exactly right. So how would you explain that to somebody that lives in, not even somebody that lives in an African country?
It's difficult. Every day it's difficult being Black. Some days are more difficult, but every day is difficult. Whether you're driving, there's a meme going around now. Being Black in America is passing a police officer and looking in your rearview mirror to see if they're following you.
Right.
Being Black in America is walking into a store and being followed by one of the employees.
Right.
Stores never want to restock until you start walking in.
Exactly.
Being Black in America is changing your given name on applications so that you can be accepted. Or taking off your photo from your LinkedIn profile so more recruiters see you.
Yes.
That's being Black in America. Being Black in America is having to laugh at things that are offensive.
So you're not called
so you don't lose your job because they automatically assume that you're angry.
Right.
Being Black in America is being treated differently when you're arrested. Being Black in America is being more likely to be arrested than somebody else.
Right.
Being Black in America is have your credit judged differently. Have your educational experience weighed differently. That's systemic racism. That's just being Black in America.
And those are implicit biases that, I guess some people have already about Black people, right?
Off the bat. I mean, for years, we used to say at this time, this happened because I'm Black. And we said it so much it started becoming a joke.
But it's reality.
It's a reality. Like, this happened because I was Black. If I wasn't Black, this probably wouldn't have happened. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an angry Black man. I'm saying that because in my own life, I have a list of experiences that I can harken back to that can show, hey, this happened because I was Black, and I've seen it happen to other people. So that is systemic racism. So you couple systemic racism, meaning if a white officer kills a Black man, the white officer that killed the Black man is racist. Systemic racism is what allows the officer to walk away from it. Convicted.
There you go. Yep. Yeah. It's a lot to unpack. I mean, as we go back to work now, I know people are gonna go back feeling different. I've had my employer reach out to me, ask me, since this is happening, are you doing okay? And my answer to that was no. I actually told him, I said, no, I'm actually really angry right now. And I'm going through the 5 stages of grief, and I might be at the anger stage for a little while. And I've never said anything like that to my boss. And he responded, he said, I really understand. Let me know if you need anything. So I think going back to work or just getting back into the world when it opens again is standing in our truth, not having to smile when we don't want to or when there's nothing to smile about. And I think that's another way for us to start educating the people around us that don't understand what it is to be a Black man or a Black woman in America. And again, like you've seen everywhere, talking about Black issues in America does not mean other issues do not matter. But like somebody said in the Bible that the shepherd had 100 sheep and 99 were fine and one wasn't. He had to go, he left the 99 and went to go look for the one.
Because he knew the 99 were fine and he knew the one wasn't.
Exactly.
I saw it.
You a pastor. This is your lane. Let me stay out. Let me stay back.
No, it's fine.
Who are you? Go ahead, preach.
No. But you said something about being angry. There was a quote by Orlando Bloom, who walked away from one of the most successful shows on cable, American Gods, due to systemic racism. And he said in one of the shows, anger is good. Anger gets stuff done. He didn't say stuff, but I'm gonna keep this PG-13. So that's important. As Black people, we've already experienced this. We've had a number of people reach out to us, our white friends, asking questions. Hey, what can I do? Hey, I understand. Hey, is there anything I can do to make a change? And sometimes we say it's not my responsibility to teach you. And I don't think that's a great point of view. There isn't a book. There isn't a rule book of how to deal with this, because there are a lot of white allies, and we thank all the ones who show up. We thank you.
Yes,
there isn't a playbook, so we have to give them room to get it wrong. If they do something like wear kente cloth, we're going to chalk that to the game. Chalk that loss to the game, and be like, all right, you get it right. Just like they have to give us room to get certain things wrong. I had a friend reach out to me, or a coworker reach out to me today, and she said, "Hey, I got a white girl question about a statement we had to release a statement about what was going on." She's like, "I don't know if it's the right statement. Number one, she probably shouldn't have wrote it. They shouldn't have asked her to write it, but that's not her fault. That's the job being insensitive." And I appreciate that. So you guys keep asking questions, and we'll try our best to help you. But someone said, I like this platform, by the way. I get to see the questions on the screen. It's nice.
Yeah, she's saying that she feels angry, down, and sad about what is happening, and that she hopes that things will change from now on. Do you think that a change is on the horizon?
I mean, change is coming. The fact that they're passing laws quickly.
They're passing quickly than I've ever seen.
They passed a law about the body cams and being able to look up officers' records faster than they passed the coronavirus budget. It took a week. I've never seen anything move that quickly. These guys are home. So change is happening there. The fact that you're seeing, like, even in the NFL changing their tunes, NASCAR, which has always been associated with racism, passed a rule saying they can't fly Confederate flags anymore. That blew my mind.
The Marines, yes.
Marines, they're taking off statues. If you're a Confederate statue, your day's a number, because they breaking down all them statues. They all going
and everything, throw them in the river.
It's a wrap. Coaches getting caught. One of my favorite actors, one of the actors on one of my favorite TV shows, The Flash, got fired for saying something against Al Sharpton like 5 years ago. So change is happening.
Yeah,
it's a shame that it happened, and the reason why it happened is because we just got tired. We were already tired of what happened the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Ahmaud Arbery happened a month before.
Right.
It happened it happened months before, but we heard about it a couple of weeks after we heard about Ahmaud Arbery. And while we're still either unemployed or stuck at home or tired about our boyfriend or girlfriend because they're frustrating with us because we're stuck with them, or our wives or their kids because we're stuck with them all the time, we see this.
Yeah.
And he said, "I can't breathe," and then we realized, wait, we couldn't breathe 2 years ago.
Happened the same week.
I'm sorry?
Amy Cooper happened the same week.
Same week. And the funny thing about the Amy Cooper thing, I wasn't even upset. You
weren't?
I just thought it was funny.
It would have been funny if something happened to that.
But and that's what someone brought up. Like because we had to try to find humor in certain things. But Amy Cooper knew what she was doing.
Right.
So that makes you upset. I just think I found humor in it afterwards, especially after everything that happened to her. Like she wanted one result and she got the complete opposite. So that's good. And they passed. Cuomo wants to pass that law. That's the thing about Cuomo.
He does.
He skipped over every other law, but wants to pass the Amy Cooper law. Okay, Andy.
Don't do that. Though you gotta give Cuomo his props. I know you don't like him, but
he did some good things. But I'm like, bruh.
Yeah. But anyway,
other body cam laws.
Those are coming too. I believe so. Those are coming. New York has been. Let me not say it. You know better. Would you say New York has been quicker to pass laws than most states, or no?
It has to be. New York is so progressive.
Right.
So the funny thing is, all the laws that were passed on the legislature over the last 2 days, there were 4 laws. They were posed by 4 black senators. Senator Jamal Bailey out of the Bronx, Senator Maynard Zenomiri out of Brooklyn, Senator Brian Benjamin out of Harlem, and Senator Kevin Parker out of Brooklyn.
Okay.
So those are the 4 laws. The 4 laws that passed the Senate floor, or the state Senate floor, were proposed by 4 black guys. 2 of them were under 35.
Okay.
That's Myrie and that's Bailey. And Brian Benjamin maybe 40. So he's still relatively young to be elected office. Yeah. We have people like AOC out here. We have people like Amanda Septimo running for state assembly, who actually got legislation to push out someone who's been in assembly for 30 years because of voter fraud. So the progressives out here working, and the progressives are in New York. Right. That's how New York's passion to put things. The thing is, they'll push the law. Same thing like the anti-lynching bill. They'll push it forward, but it can die. In the federal government, it can die on the Senate floor. In the state government, it can die on Cuomo's desk.
Yeah. Well, we need to keep. They need to keep pushing the anti-lynching law by all means. But if anyone has any questions, please feel free to type it in. We're gonna start wrapping up the show. Ian, thank you so much for coming on as always. Where can we find you? Where can we support your cause? You know, email, social media, all of that great stuff.
I really feel bad doing this, but if you want to follow me,
oh my God.
I don't like self-promotion. If you want to follow me, it's Ian Harris NYC. That's Facebook, that's Twitter, and that's Instagram. The website is Ian Harris NYC. Right now, I'm not pushing any campaign. We're pushing for awareness for protests, food scarcity, and things on those lines. We're not pushing for anything personally political. We're just trying to do the best to help the people that are in need. If you want to donate, we posted places you can donate to put money on bail books. If you want to donate to a protest, as I said, if you don't want to show up, you can donate masks, you can donate water, you can donate signs, you can reshare things on social media. I was actually supposed to be in New York today, my hometown. There was construction in Charlotte, so I stayed in construction at 4 a.m. for 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And at that 4 hours, I wasn't really able to make it, so I had to drive back to Atlanta, where I hate. I love it. Atlanta's a great city. I just don't like being here right now because I want to be home. So if you want to find out either any questions or anything, just reach out to me. If I can't answer it, I'll direct you to someone who can. And most importantly, keep following Obi. Some great platforms. He has so many great guests. I'm like the worst guest ever. So like all the other guests are better. I promise you.
He's one of the best guests that I've had. That's why this is like his third time on the show. There has to be a reason why. Ian is a great resource. Please follow him. I've typed in his social media at Ian Harris NYC. Ian Harris at NYC, right?
Ian Harris NYC.
NYC. Okay. Yeah. Please follow him. He's a great resource. And I want to thank you guys again for coming on the show. If you know anybody that is making great impact in the community, if it's you, if it's somebody else, please let me know. I'll be glad to bring them on the show so we can talk about it and also discuss how we can really help them. That's my whole thing. Really putting people and their platforms on display so that we can really support them. Be safe out there. If you're going out protesting,
please
don't be belligerent. Like Ian said, wear your mask, take your water. You're going to need it, even though they've been giving water out at the protest sites. But just be safe and really let's keep posting, keep advocating. We cannot give up. We cannot go back to life as normal. Nothing will be normal after coronavirus. Nothing will be normal after all of this is going on. So please play your part on your platform as well. Okay.
Thank you guys so much. And Obi again, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.